The calm before the storm. Intense weather conditions expected tomorrow. We're going to tell you how to prepare.
That's right. The Severe Storm Prediction Center has upgraded their enhanced threat now to a moderate threat across D.C. and most of the viewing region. What does that mean for you and I? We'll talk about that coming up.
Fatal head-on crash. Another deadly collision this weekend, now taking the life of a man in Maryland. Plus, what happened before yesterday's triple fatal crash in Northern Virginia. Safety in numbers. How a local Hebrew teacher hopes leaders come to the plate to protect places of worship with new concerns about terrorism. And protecting your cash after hundreds of millions of Americans' sensitive personal data may have been offloaded by a former DOJ worker. The consumer advice to stay safe.
You're watching the station covering all of the DMV. This is DC News Now.
Good Sunday evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us for DC News Now at 6 o'clock. I'm Ben Dennis. We begin with an elevated risk for severe weather tomorrow. For that, meteorologist Scott Sumner is forecasting the chance for intense wind gusts, potential tornadoes, and hail. Scott, what has changed since this time yesterday?
Well, as I just talked about right at the top there with the headline, it's the actual risk factor. We've gone from a stage 3 to a stage 4 out of a maximum of stage 5, which is a high risk. We're at a moderate risk of seeing that, and we'll break that down within the newscast of what that means. But I hope you have your weather alert types handy and ready to go. Obviously, your phone is a great use of that. Of course, the television watching us is also a great use, but also don't forget NOAA radio. They're battery powered, and so thereby you can, if the electricity goes out, you're still able to have those alerts come to you. So have multiple ways basically to receive any sort of warnings that come around tomorrow. Storm threats possible. Again, this really hasn't changed too much. Possible 70-mile-an-hour plus wind gusts at times. A strong tornado possible that is a potential there. So stay tuned for that. If tornado warnings get issued, certainly you want to tune in and find out where that tornado might be going. Moderate-sized hail, light snow even behind the front. That's how much of a contrast there is here. Now, here is the wind threat. This is the number one thing. The winds are going to be the number one threat. And you can see, you don't usually see these type of colors, purple and all. Well, noted by the legend here, we're up to about 45%, between 30 and 45% as far as a wind threat across the DMV within a 25-mile location. Area of your location, and that does extend back off to the west, so much of the viewing area is under that. And then second threat, highest threat, would be the tornado threat. That falls under that 10 to 15% range here across the region. We'll talk more about the timing of these storms moving through with our futurecast coming up in just a bit.
Scott, thanks. And because of that and the risk for severe weather heading in our direction, make sure to stay up to date. Whip out your phone. You can scan that QR code to be prepared in your neighborhood. All you got to do, use that code and stay up to date at dcnewsnow.com and on air of how the weather is likely to play out where you live. New tonight, a serious crash in Montgomery County this morning killed a man and severely hurt a woman in the Laytonsville area. Police say the man crashed his pickup head-on with an SUV on Woodfield Road near Glendalough Road around 1:30 a.m. He died on scene. First responders rushed the woman driving the SUV to the hospital, where they say she's in critical but stable condition. The cause of that crash is under investigation. Time for an update after we told you about a triple fatal crash yesterday morning in Fairfax County. We've learned an SUV left Fox Mill Road, hit a tree, and caught fire. Inside were 5 people. Police have identified the trio who died. The driver, 25-year-old Kevin Jose Rodriguez Lopez of Herndon, 21-year-old Aileen Gil DeLeon of Fairfax, and a 16-year-old. Police previously said 3 adults died, but now saying one victim was a teenager. One woman continues to fight for her life after she was airlifted. Another woman who was hurt is expected to be okay. Police believe speed and alcohol may have been a factor. Police in D.C., though, say a 15-year-old was arrested for firing a gun in Navy Yard last night. This news comes after more crowds of teens were caught on video there, an area where repeated curfews have been imposed for young people. MPD says while a round was fired in the air at a park between 1st Street and New Jersey Avenue, members of the National Guard stopped the teen. Nobody was found with injuries. Turning our focus to the war in Iran, Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu just assured the world that he is alive after rumors swirled online that he may have died. The video of him was posted to his official Facebook page today, responding to several viral posts, including some speculating that video of him had been AI edited because he looked like he had 6 fingers. Just saw in the video, Netanyahu picked up a coffee and turned the camera to show he has 10 fingers. Meanwhile, conflict between Israel and Iran continues. The war's death toll is growing across the region. And with the conflict ongoing, concerns also linger about terrorism after 2 recent attacks here at home. Investigators in Michigan say the man who drove into a synagogue this week had family who was killed in an Israeli airstrike in Lebanon. They also say the 41-year-old was born in Lebanon before becoming a naturalized U.S. citizen. He was found dead inside the vehicle after exchanging gunfire with the security officer. The synagogue staff say they had an active shooter training a month ago and their instincts kicked in.
But we were prepared, and we are not naive, and so we made sure that our teachers were trained and that we had the right people in the right places and that our building was secure the best way we knew how to secure our building. And it was a miracle that all of those things worked the way they did.
The other attack on U.S. soil investigated as terrorism happened at Old Dominion University's campus in Norfolk. An ROTC officer was killed, 2 others were hurt. The FBI described the Michigan attack on one of the nation's largest Reform synagogues as an act of violence targeting Jews. More than 100 kids and dozens of staff were inside during that incident, and the security training at the building is being hailed for potentially preventing tragedy. Our Tosa Fakile caught up with Adam Zimmerman. Adam is a local Hebrew teacher and a grandson of Holocaust survivors about how Jewish places of worship are responding to today's anti-Semitism.
My first thought as a Hebrew school teacher for the past 10 years is that it could have been us. And I guarantee you that thought was running through the minds of every Hebrew school teacher and every Hebrew school parent all across the country. Thank goodness they had the training that they did. You really hit the nail on the head. If not for that training, the temple in Michigan, we would be talking about a mass atrocity, dozens and dozens of people dead. And what it reveals is not only the climate we're living through, but the fact that synagogues have to devote increasingly high percentages of their budget to hiring guards and reinforcing their buildings and going through these active shooter drills.
What do you guys as teachers say to the kids, or are you trained to do during these kinds of incidents?
And as far as our kids are concerned, they're seeing not only news reports of anti-Semitism throughout the country, but in an increasingly number of cases, they're experiencing it, whether it's themselves or people that they know, or seeing it on their social media feeds. And of course, they're worried. They're scared. Why do people hate us so much? Why do people want to do these sorts of bad things to us? Those are the kinds of questions I get as a teacher. It's not fair, it's not right, but it's reality.
Are there concerns among these students, these kids, amongst the Jewish community here in the DMV of fears of terrorism attacks or anti-Semitism now that this war in Iran is going on?
It's a really important question. We've seen over the past 2 weeks since the military conflict started an explosion of vitriolic online threats against the Jewish community, which is high on any given day, but it's especially high in a moment like this. The best thing that policymakers can do right now in this moment is not just expressions of outrage, but put additional funding and resources behind programs that allow synagogues and other houses of worship to hire security guards to make sure that their buildings are safe, because as we've just seen, that's the sort of thing that could prevent a mass atrocity from happening.
Well, thanks to Tosin for sharing that. Meantime, Maryland is getting new federal funding to keep communities safe. The state's members of Congress have announced nearly $2 million going to the city of Greenbelt. The money will be used to support renovations to community buildings, including the Greenbelt Youth Center and at the Spring Hill Lake Recreation Center. The effort is to help serve students with quality after-school and summer programs.
It's a great day in the city of Greenbelt. We are so excited to get this $1.8 million federal designation for funding.
We got a lot of youth around here in the area, and many of them are looking for things to do. This community center helps to provide those kind of opportunities and give them a chance to explore things, hang out with their friends.
Lawmakers also stopped in the town of Bladensburg to present a check for $450,000 to create 2 community-based violence prevention programs for kids. All right, two D.C. golfers are teeing off against the Trump administration and in federal court over plans to redevelop this historic course. They're pairing up with the D.C. Preservation League, saying the Department of Interior and National Park Service plans to destroy the East Potomac golf links and to build a Champion-style golf course. They worry the cost of tee times and maintenance will skyrocket. The lawsuit says the government failed legal obligations to consider and mitigate effects of construction and on the environment. And they said they should be ordered to stop.
I think it's empowering that there's other people out there that feel the same we do and actually going to take action on it.
The judge declined to dismiss the case, but the Department of Interior released a statement saying in part, the president has made affordability a cornerstone of this administration, and this project will be no exception. As we are inching closer to March Madness, students and players at several local schools are anxiously awaiting word of who the men's and women's basketball programs will face in the NCAA tournament. This is a live look inside a Bird Gymnasium at Howard University in D.C. That's where a watch party is underway for both the men's and women's basketball teams. They punched their tickets to the tournament after the Bison won the MEAC crowns Saturday. The Howard men defeated North Carolina Central to go 23-10 on the season and advance to their third NCAA tournament in 4 years after a dry spell of 3 decades. Who are they going to play? Well, the Howard women will make their first appearance in the tournament in 4 years after defeating Norfolk State yesterday. The University of Maryland women's team is also waiting to find out where they will play. Their game selection starts at 8 tonight. The Respect Festival took place in Silver Spring today. What's this all about? The event is focusing on preventing teen dating violence, types of abuse, focusing on warning signs, healthy versus unhealthy relationships, and how children can help a friend. Organizers say it's important for teens to learn about what a healthy relationship looks like and the importance of consent.
It's important to come together so that we can really shine a light on what is teen dating violence, what is consent, how do we bring these concepts into normal conversations so that you don't have to feel like you have to hide.
The festival also featured therapists and, yes, food, also boxing, Zumba, raffle prizes, and at the end, a student won the Choose Respect video contest.